Australia has overwhelmingly voted no in the historic Voice to Parliament referendum.
Forking out more for groceries is something so many already can't afford.
Cash rate has gone up to 4.1%.
The RBA is still considering rate hikes.
Global financial markets are tanking again.
Asleep in their tents when Israeli drones fired.
Capsicum spray used to disperse crowds.
Kyiv under attack.
This morning, new polling from Redbridge shows the coalition is leading Labor 52% to 48%.
That would be their lowest primary vote since the 1930s.
Perhaps the biggest story of all last time was the rise of independents and Greens. Labor will be fighting the Greens in Brisbane.
Election is on. Minority government is coming.
It means the Greens could hold significant influence.
Keeping Peter Dutton out, but then also getting Labor to act.
Well, look, all my life, both myself and my family have really fought hard to protect our really special part of the world.
I was 17 when I went to university. I chose politics and sociology to study. I was really interested in how the world worked.
Mum and Dad instilled in us a very strong sense of social justice and fairness, and gender bias as a professional is profound. I mean, I did experience that. I knew that nurses were paid a lot less than other health professionals despite our contribution to the health system. But yes, the really profound impact is on health outcomes for women. So we've established the Women's Health Advisory Council, we've set up 22 endometriosis and pelvic pain clinics.
The Labor Party has been there to stand up for people. When you think about my family's story, that is the reason why I am so grateful to this country, is to have a world where we have protections against discrimination, where we have opportunity, access to healthcare, access to education.
I can't imagine anything better than being in a government where there's 55% women, and that's a phenomenal feat. But it didn't just happen overnight, right? And it didn't happen by chance. And if I get the honour and the privilege of being the local member here in Brisbane, I will speak out on climate change, on healthcare, on equality for women, support for our LGBTIQ community.
Priorities that government's placed on things like access to education, housing, superannuation, these are big reforms that Labor governments have put in place.
It's about how you make change, not just talk about it, to make sure that we continue to work with our communities to fight for that change.
Hi, I'm Renee Coffey, your Labor candidate for Griffith. I've spent my career fighting for fairness and social justice, most recently as the CEO of a national youth mental health charity. And as someone living with MS, I've had to fight some tough fights. That's why I'll fight to deliver the real progressive change that makes people's lives better. It's what I've done my whole life. Strengthening Medicare with more bulk billing and the new free urgent care clinic, free TAFE and lower HECS debts, real action on climate change while investing in more housing. Labor is building Australia's future.
So what's Labor done? Well, they've increased the minimum wage for 2.6 million workers and provided fairer tax cuts, introduced free TAFE, and they'll reduce HECS debts by 20%, built more free Medicare urgent care clinics, and they'll make more GP visits free. Plus, they're making contraception cheaper and building more endo and pelvic pain clinics. They've increased renewables to 46%, and it'll be 80% by 2030. And they've started the biggest home build in Australia's history. There's a lot happening, and there's more to do.
Australia's first government to have a majority of women is making real progress on issues of equality. We're ending the biases in the health system by building more endo and pelvic pain clinics and making contraception cheaper. We launched a national plan to end violence against women, including consent education. We made wage theft a crime and gave workers the right to disconnect. We introduced free TAFE and paid university placements. And we will cut HECS debt by 20%. We're taking real action on climate change, increasing renewables to 80% of the grid in 2030. And we've started the biggest home build in Australia's history. Labor is building Australia's future.
In 3 years, Labor has increased renewable energy to 46% of the grid, and that'll be 80% by 2030. Peter Dutton's $600 billion nuclear plan will cost taxpayers twice as much as renewables, take decades to build, increase the cost of energy bills, keep coal burning for 25 years, increase emissions by 2 billion tonnes, and supply only 4% of our energy. There's a good chance Dutton could form government, and the safest way to keep Dutton out is to vote One Labor in Griffith.
Tariffs are creating global chaos.
Global financial markets are tanking.
Peter Dutton's plans aren't helping. His $600 billion nuclear plan means cuts to health, education and renewables. This election is close. The risk of Dutton is real. We need a stable, positive government to continue expanding Medicare, fully funding schools and investing in cleaner, cheaper, renewable energy. The safest way to keep Dutton out is to vote One Labor.
This election, to form government, it's a race to 76 seats. But if the Greens keep Griffith and win some more, and the Libs win back some Teal seats, before you know it, Peter Dutton will have his nose in front. And if no one reaches 76 seats, the party in front will have the best chance to form government. Don't risk Dutton. Vote One Labor in Griffith.
Progressive Labor governments always make the reforms Australia needs to be better, fairer and stronger. My government is expanding Medicare, increasing renewables to 80% and undertaking the biggest housing build in Australia's history. The uncertainty of our times makes it vital that we push forward with strong, stable government. That's why I'm asking you to vote One Renee Coffey, so we don't go backwards and we keep building Australia's future.
Since leaving politics, I've mostly remained silent, but today is different. Anthony Albanese is expanding Medicare, acting on climate change, and undertaking the biggest housing build in Australia's history. Progress like this cannot be taken for granted. Some may argue that voting for an alternative party doesn't put that at risk, but it does. It brings Peter Dutton closer to power. So put your number one vote for Labor's Peter Khalil.
Good evening. Anthony Albanese's Labor government has pulled off a historic consolidation of its power base in a night of extraordinary twists and turns.
Seize these opportunities and build that better and stronger future. Australians have chosen a majority Labor government.
Peter Dutton has been ousted from his own seat,
leaving the coalition languishing and without a leader.
Greens leader Adam Bandt has officially conceded, making him the second party leader to fall at this election.
He's left with at most one lower house MP.
The Prime Minister was staring down the possibility of a minority government and turning to the crossbench to govern. Wow, what about this? This morning he is waking up to a majority government, the first government in 75 years to actually increase its majority in a first term. A powerful mandate.
One of the sorer points after the 2022 election for Labor was the recognition that we had underestimated the threat from the Greens, particularly in South East Queensland. In August of last year, Adam Bandt came here and declared to the National Press Club that the Greens were a strong chance to gain at least 5 more seats. And their briefings nominated Moreton, Richmond, Wills, McNamara, Perth and Sturt, which is 6. 2 years ago, we resourced a dedicated effort in the Secretariat to confront this challenge and worked with our candidates and members in three-cornered contests across the country. Ben Coates in the Secretariat and the team at the Shannon Company, led by Michael Daddo, Alyssa Horan and Tenille Stone, took on this unenviable task. Rather than evaluate their work, I'll quote Adam Bandt. I spent a fair bit of time on polling booths in Melbourne and had quite a few conversations where people told me that they usually vote Green, but this time they didn't because of Peter Dutton. And on this, I just want to say hats off to the Prime Minister and to the Labor campaign machine on this point for making it such a central feature of the campaign. I think we have to acknowledge they did run a very good campaign.